Wow, it's well good. Well good. Well good. Yeah, this age is
I wanted to show you what
that does a great job.
I don't understand. Justice is $9 million. Let's live here.
I thought his last contract was a lifetime contract.
I think she cost $21 million.
That's a lot of corn. What was less mileage? That was half the reason why they didn't fire as much as the state budget fire what they went to replace other guys.
January 1.
know what I'm saying? Like, I'd say Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they pretty much each other.
Yeah, how they play. They got one.
I got Antonio Brown. All right.
How is it incredible? Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, yeah, if you ask me, then, that's so, that'd be different, but yes. I would like to play, that everybody's talking about.
Yeah, I did. How'd that go? It was pretty chill, actually. I listened to it like before, like my second show. It was awesome.
Not that different with everybody.
Well, it was random because like a bunch of Wisconsin fans just started tweeting out of nowhere.
If one catches on and they have a following, you're done.
What actually happened was on the radio. That's all.
Don't you just tell them my name is Stephen Hill?
Yeah, just
Coach, open with a comment, raise your hand, we'll get you a mic.
How's everybody today? Good. Well, I think the focus for us needs to be better execution as a team. I talked about this a little bit after the game and after reviewing the film. I think when we have issues, when we give up plays on defense, when we have negative plays on offense, it really leads to, or it comes from the fact that fundamental execution is not really what it needs to be, and that's something that we really need to improve on. I think we got to make sure that we're, spending the time in practice to get the fundamental execution that we need. I think this helps everybody play better. I think it benefits everybody, and I think it benefits the unit that you play on. So playing in the SEC, playing against better teams, playing on the road, all these things are definitely things that we need to emphasize and improve on. I know y'all are going to ask me about the quarterbacks, but look, we're going to continue to work with the quarterbacks that we have and rep the quarterbacks that we have and try to get them better. Jalen obviously played the most in the game. There's things that he could do better. There's some things that he did very well. So the emphasis, no matter who's playing, is let's get the better things more consistent. Let's try to eliminate some of the other things through better knowledge and experience, and so that we can, again, go back to the same thing, better execution. But I think that's something that is important to the entire offensive team, is that if we all do what we're supposed to do better, that's going to take a lot of pressure off of whoever's playing quarterback. And I think that's the more significant issue for us right now in terms of how we improve, on offense. We don't have any significant injuries. Cam Sims should be back. But I think everything is, I don't think we have anybody. We have some guys that will be in black jerseys today, but I don't think it'll be an issue for the game. Ole Miss, we're certainly looking forward to starting the SEC season. It's a great challenge for us early in the season against a very, very good team. Playing on the road early on has its own challenges, but this is a team that has been a really prolific offensive football team. They've got a really good quarterback, really good tight end in Ingram, and a lot of other really good players, young players that are really good players. So when we have struggled in the past, we have given up explosive plays, which is something that their offense is constantly trying to create. So it's going to be important for us to really play well in the back end, control the line of scrimmage so they can't run the ball effectively against us. Defensively, these guys are very aggressive, very quick, quick, aggressive front, do a lot of movement, always have against us. It's going to be a challenge for our offensive line and our up front people. So that's where it's going to start in terms of us getting better execution on the offensive side of it. So they're very well coached. Hugh Freeze has done a fabulous job there. I think this guy's one of the best coaches in our league, and certainly does a great job with the players that he has. The fastball pace that they use offensively is always challenging, and it's going to be something our defensive players have to do a good job with. We played against it a lot more. Hopefully our players are more adapted to it, and we'll be able to play a little better.
Start in the middle with Cecil.
Coach, people talk about revenge games, last year's outcome, previous year's outcome. Is that material to motivation at all for you?
Well, it's not something that I usually use as a motivating factor. To say that it's not a factor, I'm not sure I'm a psychiatrist enough to know the answer to that question. But I think what I would rather focus on with our players is not the emotion of the game. There'll be plenty of emotion for the game, I think, being an SEC game, being a division game, being a team that we've struggled against the last couple of years. I really want to focus on, all right, what do I need to do to go out there and pay attention to the details of the things that are right in front of me, all right, which is how do I block this play, how do I cover this guy, how do I tackle this runner, how do I leverage this ball, all those types of things. Because we keep going back to the fact that everything that we mess up, it's not really what the other team did, it's more what we didn't do. All right, so we can get more focus on execution, process of what we need to do to get it right. I think that'll be very, very important. Emotion doesn't last in the game. Character, want to, commitment to what you're doing, playing for 60 minutes in the game, one play at a time, regardless of what happened on the last game, is the mindset that you want. And I hope that our players understand that's what we'll need in this game this week.
Our Darius Stewart has had 2 back-to-back big games. What does he bring to that receiver group from a leadership standpoint, and how has he improved throughout his time here?
Well, our Darius is a really good competitor, plays hard, plays with a lot of toughness. He is very explosive as a player. He has had some opportunities and made some big plays for us, and we actually left some money on the table, with some plays that he made that we got called back or whatever. and some other plays that we could have hit that we didn't. So I think the focus has to be, though, on everybody playing with consistency, all right, and not just explosive plays, not just big little. Okay, we made a 70-yard play here, and then we don't have the consistency. Leads to too many third and longs, too much shooting ourselves in the foot, and I think that's what the leadership on offense needs to focus on with the players, and I think Ardarius is, part of that group.
Stay over here with Darren.
In reviewing the film, the issues of consistency in running the football, how much of that was them stacking the box, and how much was maybe just not getting enough movement?
I think it's a combination of both. I think it's not just, it's a combination of fundamental execution. It was a combination of they got more up there than we can block, but if we block them right, we should have 4 and 5 yard runs if we get movement, if we have the right hand placement, if we step the right way. Those are all the things to me that I'm talking about that we need to do better. Is it easier to run when you got a light box? Yes, but I think regardless of what the box is, if you do it correctly and you execute it correctly, I think you got a much better chance of having success.
In the back with Scott Griffin.
Hey, Nick, you've had good success in rematch games, NFL, everywhere, basically. Is there a particular reason for that? Are you adept at picking up on things that maybe went wrong in a year before or something like that? Or is it just, it is what it is, just a record?
Well, we didn't do so well in a rematch game last year against these guys. Probably the worst game we played here for a long time, but turned the ball over 5 times and, gave up 3 explosive plays on defense on really mental errors. So these are the types of things, though, that I think the emphasis has to be on. You make those kind of plays, you're going to struggle. And I think that everybody's got to really focus on, got to do my job. And I got to do it with a lot of physical effort and toughness and being aggressive. But I can't get so emotional that I make bad decisions about what my responsibility and what my job is. And I think that's something that we need to do better as a team. And if we're going to have success in our league, whether it's this game or games to come, it's going to be important that we can develop that.
Middle there with Alex.
Nick, you've talked a lot about RPOs, this year a little bit more than maybe in previous years. You've been very traditional offensively in the past. So when do you kind of come around to RPOs? And then second question, how do you think RPOs will be, how important do you think they'll be in the development of Hurts and Bateman or Barnett?
Well, I don't know what team you've been watching, but we've been throwing RPOs around here since Blake Sims was here, is when we started. So that's a couple years ago. So that's when we came around to it, because it was the right skill set for him in terms of what he could do and how we did it. And he did it extremely well. A lot of people do it now, and I think it's important that we can do it and execute it. We did a few in the game last week. A couple of them were big plays. A couple of them, we didn't execute really well. So it all comes down to how do you execute the play? How do you block the perimeter? If they roll up the corner and you miss the corner and he hits you in the backfield, well, is it because it was a bad play or is it because the guy didn't block the guy right? So, and I know that part of it is not something that, as a group, you are necessarily interested in, but it's a fact of the matter.
In the back with Joe.
Coach, you've emphasized focus over emotion. I'm sure the outcome of the last 2 meetings with Ole Miss is going to be on the minds of some of the older players. During the week, how do you strike that balance between stoking the fire for this game but making sure guys don't fly off the rails once kickoff comes?
I don't know. We just emphasize, this game and the importance of the things that you need to do in this game. I'm not saying it's like any other game. It's the most important game that we play because it's the game that we're playing this week against a very, very good team. But it's important every week, that you have the right sense of urgency, the right mental intensity, the right immediacy about I got to do this right now. I mean, these are all, do you call them emotional or do you call them sort of mindsets that are get you to perform well? I think creating a bunch of anxiety with players is not the best way to go when it comes to being able to perform well. And I think that we were pretty anxious in the game last year, and it sure didn't help us play very well. So, hopefully we won't have anxiety. We'll have high achievement motivation and go over there with a sense of purpose and be able to stay focused on that sense of purpose for 60 minutes in a game.
Left middle with Rayner.
What did Jalen Hurts show from a passing standpoint, how he handled going through the progressions and just his decision making?
Well, some was good and some was, things that we'll learn from. And I think that's the big thing that we need to stay focused on as coaches, that we can use every one of these opportunities that he has to increase his knowledge and experience and be more confident in what he needs to do to improve. And I think that's the focus that we have right now, and that's certainly what we want to do with the things that he did well. We want to build on those. We want to correct the things that he needs a little better understanding of, and we'll just kind of keep building on that.
Front here with Dwayne.
Coach Chad Kelly, obviously one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Just elaborate on what he brings to the table.
Well, he's an outstanding passer. He's very accurate with the ball. He knows this offense extremely well. He has ability to extend plays. He's a really good competitor, and he's a sort of a playmaker type guy. The combination of those things make him very effective in terms of what they do. And it's going to be important that we do a good job pushing the pocket on him, not letting him scramble and run around, but at the same time affecting him where he can't be as good a passer as he's capable of, and you do that with good coverage as well as good pass rush.
Two more, Christopher and then Scott.
With the way that the game has changed in facing offenses like this, from a defensive standpoint, what's been the thing that you've had to adjust or evolve on your end defensively?
Well, I think just about everything over the years. I mean, take something as simple as a huddle. I coached for a long time where the first thing you did the first day of camp and the first installation was you told the players how to get in the huddle. And you told the signal caller how to call the defense. That's like, gone with the Etzel. So from the very basic beginning, I think the whole rhythm that a defensive player has to practice with in terms of pace of play is completely different. Ability to adapt and adjust. Communication is vitally important because nobody gets the call in the huddle. Everybody has to get the signal from somewhere. So just about everything that you do is different. But I think the biggest thing is in probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, when we struggled with some of these things, was we were betwixt and between. We'd play 6 teams that got in the huddle, and we'd play 6 fastball teams. And so, what do you become? I also think that since we're a no huddle team now too, and part of the reason that we philosophically went to no huddle is if we're going to have to play against this all the time, makes it easier to practice what you're going to play against if you do it as well. So all these things, I think, have contributed to the players sort of growing up now defensively in a routine that is a little more accommodating to have to play against hurry-up offenses. But they're still going to try to go so fast that you can't get lined up and the defensive players can't get the signal, and they're going to try to wear you out. But you got to be efficient and effective and pace of play.
Last one here was Chill.
Coach, it is a new challenge because this is the first real road test for you. And with the young quarterbacks, how do you help them to where they can be in a position to succeed for this new test for them?
Well, I don't think there's any question about the fact that it is a challenge. It's always a challenge to play on the road. And we'll do everything that we can to help these guys, with noise and all the things that make it more difficult to communicate on offense. But I think it's going to be about the entire offensive team sort of being able to do this around the quarterback. So it is definitely something that we will practice this week, and we got to get ready for. I don't think that it's something that we can't overcome and do well, but it is something that we definitely have to work on.
Thanks, Coach.